Peace family, welcome to 𝗪𝗲𝗱𝗶𝗴 on VTV. My name is Vie Darling, the cosmic queen and your intergalactic interpreter. So in this video, I'm just going to be talking about my experience coming to Earth. So just let me take a second to call in my higher self. So I just wanted to go ahead and invite some archangels to join us in this space so that is my hair big enough? Okay. Yeah, so that we could really just get into a safe space for me to channel this story. Okay, so I guess I'll start at the beginning. Like I said, my name is Vie Darling. I am a high priestess and an oracle. I am a water elemental. I come from a different universe, actually. I'm not even just like a normal starseed. I'm actually from a different universe, and I and my eternal essence actually helped to create this universe. So I guess the best way that I can put this is, if you've ever read the 𝗪𝗪 by J.R.R. Tolkien, he wrote The Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit. And he also wrote this extremely epic, very hard to read, some may even say pedantic tome called the 𝗪𝗪. And in the 𝗪𝗪, it basically accounts for the history of Middle Earth, and actually the universe that the Tolkien Legendarium takes place in, which is called 𝗪RA. And I really see this as a parallel to how our universe was made. I guess I'm just going to tell you guys a little bit about 𝗪RA, and I'm going to read a little bit about it. Bear with me because I don't exactly know all of the pronunciations. So 𝗪RA is Kenya for realm, and that is one of the 𝗪𝗲𝗱𝗶 languages. It is also known as Earth, and it was the world in which all peoples of Middle Earth and Valinor lived. 𝗪RA consisted of land masses, chiefly the continents of Middle Earth and Ammon, oceans and seas, and an atmosphere. It was a part of 𝗍, the world, the created world, and that kind of includes like the whole Tolkien star system. And 𝗪RA was created together with the rest of the 𝗍, or Ea, through the music of the Ainur. And so this is where it gets to be like my personal history. It was set apart as a dwelling place for the children of Ilúvatar, which are the elves and the men. If the creation of 𝗪RA is about the creation of Earth, then the elves are like me, and the men are like the sons of Adam, the original beings on this planet, because the humans now are not actually the same as like the Lemurians or the earth seeds. So The music of the 𝗍 is really important. I'm actually going to talk a little bit about that. When 𝗍 was created, many of the 𝗍 chose to dwell within it as long as it should last. And they built 𝗧 and chose to reside there. The most powerful of the 𝗍 were called the 𝗍, the powers of the world. 𝗍 is the music of the 𝗍, also known as the great music or the great song. So you think about like the universe, one verse, one song. Everything is made out of vibrations, right? Everything is made out of waves, and depending on how slow or how fast a wave is moving, it's going to I guess manifest differently would be the way that I would put it. So we have sound waves, which our ears, if they are fully optimal, are able to perceive of and send a message to our brain about what it is we received, right? Our eyes, if they are optimally functioning, are able to receive light waves, which our eyeballs then send a message to our brain about what it is we've seen. That's how our bodies work. We have these little receivers, and those are the senses. Some people say 5, some say 6. All I know is there are definitely more than 5. So if you're like me and you have extra sensory gifts, that's just something that you're gonna want to bear in mind, okay? Everything that exists in this universe is a wave. Light is both a wave and a particle. That's what makes light so special. And when a wave gets really slow and long, when it's vibrating very slowly, it's very dense. And that's when we get to have solid things. We have solids, which are densely packed. We have liquids, which are more loosely packed. And then we have gases, which are much more freely flowing, right? But then we also have the unseen. And the unseen involves it involves radio waves. We cannot see radio waves. It involves ultraviolet waves. It involves X-rays. Yeah, I don't know, it involves all of that stuff. So if those things exist in the unseen, which actually some of those waves were detected by humans by accident. We were actually looking for other types of waves, and it just turned out that the detectors that we made started picking up waves that we didn't even know existed. I think that was for radio waves, I'm pretty sure. But either way, if those things exist in the unseen, imagine what other kinds of communications exist in the unseen. So when people are like, oh, telepathy isn't real, I'm just like, really? Or are you just not fine-tuned to be able to engage with it? Our bodies are antennas after all. Some may even say satellites. As part of the Tolkien Middle-earth cycle, the 𝗍 plays the role of its cosmogony in the 𝗪़silmarillion, or the creation story, okay? Many of the themes and storylines revealed in later histories find their first expression in the 𝗍. And sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong. I'm doing my best. The the opening paragraphs of 𝗍 concern the time before the creation of the world and before the beginning of time. First to be named is 𝗪ᵉ, Father of all, also called Ēru, the One, He that is alone. And if you just start paying attention to what I'm saying and open your mind to the context of this being very much a parallel to the stories of the 𝗪ᵉishas in the way that Ifa goes about explaining the creation of the universe and the world. I think that that will be really helpful for you, because when I downloaded this and I channeled this, that's how I had those things as a parallel. 𝗪𝗲 makes the Ainur, meaning holy ones, singular form Ainu, by manifesting his concepts as living beings. Upon their creation, when nothing else yet is made, 𝗪𝗲 teaches the Ainur the art of music with a capital M, which becomes their life and work. So the Ainur kind of remind me of the Sibyls in a way. I know some people think of them as the angels, and I guess that that is also decent. The next lines speak to the maturation of the Ainur and the cultivation of heaven's music into the first theme. Heaven becomes filled with the making of music, with each Ainu comprehending at first only those secondary ideas and themes most closely related to that primary idea, theme, thought of 𝗪𝗲's, which prefigured itself. These creative musical elaborations only gradually, through exposure to each other, become collaborative. The compositions revolve around themes given to each Ainu by 𝗪𝗲, which themes correspond respectively to those primary themes, concepts embodied in each Ainu, that indeed are each Ainu. Through listening and contemplation, an Ainu becomes aware of other Ainur, other musics, and the cultivation and adornment of other themes. After a time of music, 𝗪𝗲 proposes a first great design theme plan to all the Ainur at once. He charges them with the collective elaboration of this great design plan theme. While it is true that the Ainur are 𝗪𝗲's thoughts embodied, they each have a life of their own, much like our own thoughts, and are expected to utilize their freedom, free will, by cultivating the grand theme. Only in the future, at the end of days, will all the created beings of 𝗪𝗲 fully understand not only the divinely provided concepts and themes they each personally embody, but how each relates to all the others and fits as per 𝗪𝗲's intentions in the entire greater scheme. So I think that's a really important place to start, because that is how I remember coming into creation. So the Valar were the powers of Arda, who governed the world under the direction of 𝗪𝗲. They dwelt on the western continent of Aman. The Valar were the 14 Ainur who, after being molded of 𝗪𝗲's thoughts, entered Arda after its creation to give order to the world and combat the new evils of 𝗪𝗁, who is basically a rogue Ainur. And I would say that he is like he's Moloch. They had helped to begin the shaping of Arda through the music of 𝗪𝗲, and often refer to one another as brother or sister. Each of the Ainur had added their own part to the music creating the world incarnate, save for 𝗪𝗁, who at the time was counted as the strongest of them. His vision of what Arda should have been differed from 𝗪𝗲's, which led to his banishment and great rebellion that would cause most of the ills of the world. He is the first Ainu to be named and described as the most powerful of the Ainur, and is knowing much of 𝗪𝗲's thoughts, including something of each of the primary themes that prefigure the other Ainur. He develops impatience with the schooling process of thematic elaboration, Like a precocious child, 𝗪𝗁 begins thinking of certain musical ideas and themes as being all his own, and he feels compelled to develop them apace. So he also kind of reminds me of 𝗷𝗲𝗱𝗴 from the Gnostic mythologies, and he is the son of Sophia, made outside of her divine partnership. I don't know if that's exactly who I would say 𝗪𝗁 is, because as I said, I feel like 𝗪𝗁 is 𝗪𝗁, but whatever, it doesn't really matter. 𝗪𝗁 even harbors the desire to externally manifest his ideas, private ideas as he thinks them, and to become a creator of beings himself. So yeah, very much like 𝗷𝗲𝗱𝗴 actually. When the choirs of the Ainur finally embark on the fully collaborative elaboration of 𝗪𝗲𝗱's grand plan, 𝗪𝗁 participates with all the others, yet he stands forth and inserts his very different thematic adornments, which disrupts the harmony. One reason his music is so different is that he has spent too much time alone. So his themes appear to have a singular rather than contextual origin. The battle in the choir of the Ainur rages back and forth with the music akin 𝗪𝗲𝗱 described as deep and wide and beautiful, but slow and blended with an immeasurable sorrow from which its beauty chiefly came. 𝗪𝗁's music, on the other hand, is said to have been loud and vain and endlessly repeated, and it essayed to drown the other music by the violence of its voice. And I think that there are a lot of people that we can think of like that, or, you know, someone who's really selfish in bed. But despite 𝗪𝗁's best efforts to mar and utterly overthrow the great music, his discordant music's most triumphant notes were taken by the other and woven into its own solemn pattern. The great music of the Ainur progresses thus. 𝗪𝗲𝗱 introduces a first theme to the choir of the Ainur, and 𝗪𝗁 spoils it, right? Converting many of the Maiar to his cause in later years. These fallen Maiar become, in the later histories, characters like Balrogs and Sauron himself. So honestly, I kind of would say that the Maiar are more like angels in that way, or like the fallen angels, you know, but I know that there's a lot of talk by people who have studied more than I have, but I'm talking about what I've channeled and how it figures contextually into my own story. Next, 𝗪𝗲𝗱 imposes a second theme and 𝗪𝗁 corrupts it. 𝗪𝗲𝗱 then proposes a third theme, which is also infected by 𝗪𝗁 and devolves into a raging, disharmonious conflict. 𝗪𝗲𝗱 puts an end to the disharmony with the conducting of one chord, deeper than the abyss, higher than the firmament, piercing the light of the eye of 𝗪𝗲𝗱. After the great music stops, 𝗪𝗲𝗱 promptly chastises 𝗪𝗁 and then leaves the room. This causes 𝗪𝗁 to be ashamed, which in turn causes him to be angry. So I think that that's really like important to understand, like the context of 𝗪𝗁, because I think that he really relates to me a lot like Mala. And Moloch runs rampant in this realm, and I would say that that vibration is really the vibration of parasitic corruption in the mind that devolves us from higher spiritual beings that live in collaboration with our natural environment, with earth and all of creation. Back to the Valar. The Valar were the 14 Ainur who, after being molded of Eru's thought, entered Arda after its creation to give order to the world and combat the new evils of 𝗪𝗁. I am one of those. That is what I mean when I say that I helped to create this world. And yeah, then I came in here. There's so much more, but yeah, each of the Ainur had added their own part to the music, creating the world incarnate, except for Melkor, who at the time was counted the strongest of us. And his vision of what Arda should have been differed from 𝗪ृs, which led to his banishment and great rebellion that would cause most of the ills of the world of Arda. So the 14 Valar originally dwelt on 𝗪rian, a hidden island of the Great Lake. So yeah, I guess that's just the story of how I came to Earth. The first time, of course, not any of the subsequent times. I've actually been to Earth a lot. I'm what you could call an ancient, but even more than an ancient, I am a primordial being who has descended along the mortal coil in order to take part in what's going on in the world. So I've had many other lives than this one. I've had lives in other star systems. This particular life that I'm living now, I want to be certain to explicate. This one is really special because I have not come to Earth at this concentration of my higher self, of my primordial energy, in a really long time. My higher self is named Inanna. I am a god body or goddess body, whatever you want to say, because the truth is, it doesn't matter. I have manifested in other places as male. I've manifested in other lifetimes as beings that are agender, beings that only have one gender, and I have manifested in bodies that have, you know, one sex, multiple sexes. It really doesn't matter. I am always going to be the same primordial spirit and energy. Of course, if you look at my Akashic records, I have developed karma over time, and I have a bit of a personality. I have lots of different names, but my human self is Gaia Sophia. That is a lot about like oversouls and soul groups and blah, blah, blah. Whatever, it doesn't matter. I want to talk about the life that I've lived on, how I got to be here. So Earth is going through its Kali Yuga. It's going through a changing of the ages, or a changing of the guards, as I like to call it. And that means that a lot of the old gods are coming back to Earth. And a lot of us haven't been here in a really long time. So I have been on Earth, but I haven't been concentrated on Earth. So I have lots of different Earth lifetimes, and that's actually really important that I do that, because like I need to be able to manifest into whatever body I need most at that time, at that given time. Okay, so I'm from a Hathor lineage, Isis lineage, and I have a lot of parallel lives. You know, a lot of people from my soul group, whatever, but I am actually a divine concentration of the oversoul. And I came through the planet Venus. So yeah, I guess I was just saying, like, yeah, it doesn't matter if you call me a goddess or whatever, because I'm pretty well integrated. I'm currently in a process of integration within myself, integration of my twin flames, my masculine energy, or my yang energy, and my yin energy. Well, what else is there to say about me? I am a Lyran starseed. When I first came to seed life in this universe that I helped to create, Lyra was a place that I first seeded, and my home planet was destroyed. It's really hard for me to talk about, but yeah, my home planet was destroyed. It was attacked, and I at that time was manifesting in a orb, because all of the high priestesses and priestesses, we were orbs. And my orb self, we were attacked, and we had our magic stolen from us, and you know, it was really bad. And the entities that we were at war with, yeah, they blew up our planet. And thankfully, you know, I have other lifetimes where I have been embodied, and I downloaded my consciousness into other realms so that I would not be lost. And I went through a lot of healing with the angels, and I went through a lot of healing with God, and I, you know, quickly was transported to Pleiades, and that was a place where I spent a lot of time. I came to Earth through the Andromedan Stargate. There's really so much more that I could say about that, but I think that it's more important for me to do a different story for a different day about that. In many of my Earth lives, I have incarnated into the same bloodlines, because you really have to have the right physical constitution to manifest this high vibrational energy and information. That's what DNA is. It's information. And so because it requires such high light DNA for me to be here in this body, I had to manifest in a body that would be really, really strong enough to hold me, right? And so if you think about it, I needed a container that would be able to hold as much light as possible. So I needed a deeply, deeply melanated container for me. And also, I needed to manifest into lineages that still maintain the indigenous practices that have been handed down from family member to family member, matrilineally usually, but not always. And so, yeah, I am descended from ancient Kemet, direct descendant actually, and you can trace back my tribes to that region and relation to the Dogon tribe, but more than anything, and also I have lifetimes in Egypt. I have lifetimes all over the place, anywhere that you can imagine. I was here during Atlantis. I was a goddess during Lemuria, and I think I already had left by that time. So I know that that's like a lot of information to take in. I'm just trying to really think about my stories and origin, and yeah, I think that that's like, that's it, I think. So thank you so much for watching. My name is Vie Darling. I am the Cosmic Queen and your Intergalactic Interpreter. And I just want to say before you go, I would like to invite you to like, comment, subscribe, subscribe to notifications, because, you know, if you're interested in all things cosmic wellness, it just really helps you to stay updated to like whatever new information I channel and download. So links will be in the description section. Thank you so much for joining me. I look forward to seeing you in another reading. May blessings and unconditional love ever abound in your life. Peace.